And when he created it, it was all good. It's the repeated word, isn't it? There are many repeated words and phrases. There's a lovely rhythm to the chapter. And God said, let there be, and there was, and then it was he saw that it was good, it was good, it was good, it was good, and ultimately it was very good in chapter 31 after he had created human beings. And when God says something is very good, this is divine, this is God's estimation, not just a human. This is not just Moses saying, oh yeah, I think that was pretty good, God, what you did there. This is God's estimation. And God has high standards, right? The best. Now, this includes human beings who are obviously no longer all good. You may have noticed that you are not all good, and the world is not all good, but it was all good when he made it. So now anything bad is not from him. It's not from his creation. Genesis 1 makes that very clear to us. Anything bad, everything he made, everything original was good and very good. Anything bad is now an intruder into God's good creation. He did not create a flawed world or universe. So evil, sin, disorder, chaos, death, these are all intruders into God's good creation. They are not from him at all. And this is something we know deeply, don't we? Instinctively, naturally. About death, for example. Whenever somebody dies, and some of you have experienced this very recently, for all that people will try to say to us, death is natural, perfectly natural, we have a deep feeling that it's not. It's not right. It shouldn't happen. It feels like an intruder when it happens, even if the person is old. We have a deep feeling in our bones that when death happens, it's not the way it was meant to be. Tim Keller has written a great little book on death. He says death is an intruder. It was not in God's original design for the world and human life. Look at the first 3 chapters of Genesis. We were not meant to die. We were meant to live and to last. We were meant to get more beautiful as time goes on, not more enfeebled. To get stronger, not to weaken and die. To say, oh, death is just natural, and you might hear this, is to harden and perhaps kill a part of your heart's hope that makes you human. We know deep down that we are not all like trees. We are not like grass. We were created to last. The deepest desires of our hearts are for love that lasts. We know this deeply, don't we? Death is not natural. I heard that exact thing on the news this week. There was a lady who appeared, her son, an Indian boy, I think, an Indian family, in the UK. He'd been killed a few years ago, and she was clearly expressing her hope that one day she would see him again. It wasn't right that he died. He was only 8 or 9. That's a deep, deep feeling in us, isn't it? That it's not natural. And that's why it's so wonderful that when death comes, as Christians, we can look forward to resurrection. And we will see our loved ones again in Christ. That's why Amos said the other day when he was speaking here, he was so struck by meeting the old people in Cooper's Court, their stories, but the thought that the only hope we have in death is Christ. At the end of life, there's nothing else. It's the great acid test of a religion. What hope does it give in times of trouble and death and bereavement? God created it all good. And there's resurrection in Christ. All of that bad stuff has come as an intruder.